Hey, I'm Siobhan, and I love talking about all the things related to freedom and personal growth. And I'm on a journey to redefine freedom on my own terms as I become the woman I desire to be. Each week, I'll share in real time what I'm learning as I do my inner work while creating a safe space for my listeners to feel seen. If you desire to be free and live a life that feels good to you, then you're in the right place for beautiful conversations that's going to support you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to the Siobhan J. Middleton podcast. Now let's start the show. Hey, welcome back to another episode of my podcast. You already know I'm so happy that you are here again for another week where I inspire people like you to redefine freedom on your own terms. And I do that by sharing my story in real time and how I'm navigating this big, beautiful life to inspire others to do the same. I do want to point out that there's construction going on in my development, so just be aware of that if you hear that noise in the background. But here I am today to share that I wrote my first book. Yes, I did. And let me tell you, it was so unexpected. This was not on the vision board. This was not a goal for the year. This was not something that I said, I cannot wait to do. No, this did not happen like that at all. About 2 weeks ago, I was on a walk and very clearly I heard Spirit say, write your story. And I was like, what? What am I going to write about? What? And again, it was very clear, write your story down. And I know that I was inspired to do this for a couple of different reasons. Number one, over the years, I have been getting women specifically asking me, where do they start? Or they will compliment me on how brave that I've been as it relates to sharing my story, leaving my marriage, things of that nature. And I noticed that I've been answering and responding to the same type of questions again and again and again. The other part is that I understand that my story is not my own, and that there are people in the world who need to connect with someone that looks like them or that's relatable in some capacity to help them figure out their own stuff. And so I was like, okay, Spirit, I'm going to honor what I hear. And so that Friday, I wrote my story. And I wrote it in a way that I haven't written it before. And when I tell you the words just flowed out of me, I was surprised in myself, you have this to say and this to say. And so once I finished writing my story out, then I was like, well, what else would you like to share with people who are in a similar space? What do you wish someone would have said to you? And so then I was like, I wish they would have said this and that and this and that. And again, the words just flowed out of me. And so I'm writing all of this in a document, and I moved it from the document when I was done writing. I moved it to Canva. And once I uploaded everything, I was like, wait a minute, you've written a book. And I was like, because it was over 20 something pages, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this, because on social media, I was kind of letting my audience know what I was doing. And I was like, I'm working on this creative thing, or there's this creative project that I'm working on. But then once I moved it to Canva, I was like, wait a minute, sis, you've written a book, because look how much content you have here and look how rich it is. And I was like, So once I finished with the writing, the following week, I found this beautiful cafe in my neighborhood. And when I tell you it is my vibe, it's this whole bohemian space. It's what is it? It's a plant-based bar, actually. And so I went there to work on the design. And once I was finished with the writing part and then the design, I next went on to, how do I want to make this digestible for people? How can I include everything that's important to me? Because what I didn't want it to just be an ebook, if you will, where you just read and then you were done. I'm like, no, I want it to be more immersive. That's the best word for it. And so I am reading my story. There's music in the background. I recorded a video, and there's also resources available for you as well. So I want to put a pin here and say, buy my book. titled, I Don't Want to Be Married Anymore, Finding the Courage and How to Start. And when you read the book, you'll learn why I named it that. Now, what I want to share, and this part is important because this is how life just truly unfolds, and we have to honor what we are hearing and what we are experiencing, and then how do we take what we've learned and put that out in the world in some capacity, right? One of the things that I started paying attention to, it was 4 years ago to this month that I told my now ex-husband that I no longer wanted to be married. And if you want to read about how that happened, just go ahead and purchase my book. But I told him that, and it was one of the hardest things that I ever had to say. I had no idea what was ahead of me. I just knew I had to trust what I felt in my spirit and that everything will work out at some point. I had no idea how, and I'm going to tell you, and I talk about this in the book, that it got harder before it got better, right? And then 2 years ago to this month is when I left the home that we started together, and I left with my clothes and my books. And because it was before my actual move-in date into my apartment, I had to go live with family for about 2 months until my apartment was ready. When I tell you the hardest experience ever, one of the things that has been so helpful for me is I recorded video of myself and I did audio notes about this process. So then that way I can go back and watch at some point, right? And so when I was writing my book, I would go back and watch some of those videos, and y'all, I was so afraid because I didn't know what was coming up for me. You can tell I look like a little girl, like trying to figure this thing out. And I was afraid, like, what? Like, I really did it. I really, really did it. And then there was some other videos I recorded where I was so excited about getting my Wi-Fi set up and I can finally watch the show I've been wanting to watch. And I captured these moments, and I'm so glad that I did, because I feel they helped me write the book because they took me back to that space. And so once the book was complete and I went back and I read my words, y'all, I was crying. I was crying because I could feel the words on the page. And then when I put the audio over it, as I'm listening to myself, I'm like, you've done so much healing and so much growth. And this is the perfect time to put this work out there, because there are people in the world waiting for you to show up. And everything that I've done in my work, it's always been, for the most part, spirit-led. Like, there's very significant moments in my life where I can hear God very clearly. And I'm like, I got to move on that. Like, I have to move. And so I'm very, very, very proud of this work. Whether you are someone who can relate because maybe you don't want to be married anymore, but I know that's very, very scary, or you are feeling isolated, or you feel shame or guilt for what you feel, purchase the book. Purchase it and just have a resource to guide you when you're ready. And if you're someone who cannot relate to being in this space at all, but still want to support my work, please do that. You can do that by purchasing a copy. It's only $20, y'all, like $20, that's it. And then I also made it where if you want to pay more than the $20, you can do that. And people have been doing that, so thank y'all. So I released it on, what was that? Saturday night, like at 11 something. And within minutes, 2 people have purchased it. I started feeling a lot of anxiety because now my work is out in the world. But that next morning, I went on my walk, I processed it through, and I'm like, yes, it's supposed to be. Like, you did exactly what you were supposed to do. And so I'm being present with this. I'm allowing it to take me wherever it's going to take me. I don't have any like concrete plans. I'm like just kind of letting it flow. But I do feel like this is about to open many doors for me, and so many people will be healed because of my work. So again, I want to say this, whether you are someone who can relate or you can't relate. All I'm asking is that you support by purchasing the book, sharing the link on your social media, or sharing the link with a friend or family member that you think could benefit from it. I will love, 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 love for you to subscribe to my newsletter. That link is always in the show notes. And then the link to purchase the book is in the show notes as well. I did decide to do a book release party, so I'll be announcing that on my social media as well as my newsletter when I'm ready to do that, because what I want to do is have a conversation with you guys. Like, I want you to be able to ask me questions. I want to hear your experiences, whether you're going through it or not, or you just want to talk to me. Like, I want to talk to y'all. Like, I really miss having live conversations. So I want to get back into that flow. So stay tuned to that. If you're inspired by my work at all, maybe you don't want to purchase the book for whatever reason. I don't see why you wouldn't. But you do want to support me in some way. You can treat me to a cup of coffee or 2 or 3 or 4. That link is in my show notes as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you for supporting me in whatever capacity that you choose to. I am very, very, very proud of myself for putting this piece of work out in the world. It's not easy to go back and remember things that have happened and, to share your story. But again, this was guided by God, and I'm honoring what I heard, and I'm trusting everything is going to work out for my good. And then the other thing that I want to add to this before I get off here is that this process has been so effortlessly, right? I quickly figured out, okay, I want to make it a easy download for people. I want people to be able to pay what they want with the minimum of $20. I also wanted to market it very easy. So I'm doing this very different than I would have done in the past. And I'm just going with the flow and letting Spirit tell me what's next. So again, thank you so much for listening. Share this episode with a friend. Share my book link with a friend. Purchase my book. This is the first of many to come. I'm so freaking excited. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. And again, excuse the noise in the background, but I needed to get this out to you. Sending you so much love and light. Until next time.